Welcome. Thank you for joining the Live in Divine Harmony podcast. I'm Carmen, your divine synergist of Heart's Joy. I'm a spiritual leader of purpose and a numerologist. I help those who are turned off by church, who are seeking connection, fulfillment, joy, and purpose, who may be feeling frustrated instead of experiencing joy daily. They want to fit in and will do anything to feel good, but it's not authentically who they are or what they want. Through coaching programs and events, I guide my clients to live their purpose and live intentionally every day, leading to a fulfilled and joyful life. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for notifications so you never miss another episode. Let's dive in. Welcome back to your February 2025 numerology and energy update. Yes, I said February. We always chuckle, and a lot of people will say, I don't have time for that. They're so focused on the man made time and the fact that, seriously, I cannot tell you how many times I hear this phrase a day. I don't have time for that. And by the way, this is something that I do address early on in the mini masterclass to help you navigate that 3D idea because time really doesn't exist. It's man-made. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole here. Check out the mini masterclass and I go in depth on it in there to really give you tools to help you succeed every single day, to move through obstacles easily and effortlessly. I bring up time because time in 2025 is going to move incredibly quickly. And you've already seen that, you've already experienced it, and I'm going to say get used to it, because it's not gonna stop. Now, you can physically slow down. You can physically have those boundaries. And again, choose what is it that you're going to focus on. That's the beauty once you start to understand and realize that you actually have the power within you because you are a part of the universe to create whatever it is that you want, how to co-create with the universe, with God. And having that knowing and taking action on it will truly change your life. And if you tuned into the 2025 podcast, I talked about, this is a 9 energy. We are ending cycles. They are massive endings this year. And I had mentioned in that podcast that I truly believe whatever was starting to crumble in 2020, because that was a 4 foundational year. And we it wasn't just it wasn't just the numerology. It's also the astrology piece too. When you look at the astrological alignments that we experienced back in 2020 and the time before when we had those same alignments, history does repeat itself, by the way. Yes, we're at the end of that cycle, and we are simultaneously watching, and we have been watching old systems crumble for new systems to be created. And by the way, I'm sure most of you are on social media. And as you are reading through social media, and of course, depending on who you're following, depends on the content that you're consuming. And I was encouraged back in 2020 to read both sides politically, and I do. And I have to chuckle because the rhetoric on both sides, it is massive, and it is probably the worst that I've ever seen it. I actually did a post about this the other day on my personal Facebook page. And I'm watching so many people fall into the narrative, the traps out there, instead of really understanding what's going on and being okay with letting go, which is why I'm bringing this up, letting go of that old system. Because if you can't let go of that old system, you're going to try to control it. I say try on purpose, because you can't control it. You flat out cannot. And I chuckle because there's several people that I've seen proclaim that they are Christians, and yet they're worried and they have a lot of fear. And to that, I say, if you are a true Christian, then there is no fear. There is nothing to fear. So I'm not sure who you worship. I'm not sure who you're in relationship with. I'm not sure who you know. And that's not the same Jesus that I'm aware of, that I have a relationship with. And I bring that up because this is how the year is going to be as a whole. And the longer you hold on to something, and it can be anything, people, places, things, situations, it can be an old habit, anything at all. And maybe you're like, yeah, I really should do this. That's probably what goes on in a lot of people's minds. I know I should do this, but, and we just continue to make excuses for ourselves. At some point, it's going to get so bad that one or two things are going to happen. Something's going to happen. You're going to have an experience where you're going to be forced to do the thing and make the change, or the universe is going to have it happen for you. And really, those are one and two. It's just two of the same thing. It's just how you look at it. And by the way, eclipse season is coming up, and that's typically when those things happen, because eclipse season actually speeds things up even quicker. Always keep that in mind every day. This 9 energy is a collective energy for everybody every single day throughout 2025. And I truly believe and know in my heart of hearts that this is going to be a year for some people that's going to be very difficult. And for other people, we will be literally floating on clouds, becoming millionaires. Like, it literally, there's going to be this stark difference. And it's interesting because someone had shared that with me back in 2020 about the division. And I frankly did not understand it then. And I do now. And I understand it on a whole different level now. And once I understood it, it literally changed everything for me. So please keep this in mind. And also, reminder, what I'm getting ready to share with you for the energies for February, it's simply the collective energies. So depending on your personal numerology chart, what your personal energies are, it's going to look different. And I do offer private sessions if you want to look at your personal chart. So for February, it's a 2 energy month. And when you add up 9 plus 2 is 11, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So we're playing with the 2 energy twice. Remember what I mentioned in the January video? What pattern are you noticing each month? I love this, by the way. So the 2 energy is gonna be what I call your beingness. What do I mean by that? It's how are you showing up? This is one of the many reasons why I talk about numerology so much, is because first off, this whole year leads back to your impact or your purpose. You're truly being asked, especially in February, to really focus on your divine purpose. And in order to do that, what is your way of being? How are you showing up? It's the opposite energy of the one. It is the divine feminine energy. And it's truly being present every single day, being present in the now moment. And that, when you are in the present moment, that is your beingness. That's your way of being. That's how you're showing up. And that is what will lead every single day. It's going to show you the next thing to do, the next action to take. Literally, that is your I'm going to say golden ticket, especially for February. That is the energy. Okay? And depending on your frequency, depending on what you're focused on, you may experience chaos, as I mentioned earlier, or you may truly experience bliss. And so if you find yourself in arguments with other people, whether it be in person or on social media, or you have to be right about this, or whatever it is, you're feeling frustrated, start to notice that, and you have the power to shift. Again, that takes me back to the mini masterclass, and that's what we talk about in there. The masterclass coming up, the next masterclass is coming up in a few days. And that's really where you start to see, how are you showing up and what are you creating? And then we talk about, okay, well, what is it that you really do desire in your life? And how do you need to show up in order to have that experience of your desired outcome? So your way of being is truly the golden ticket. I don't know why that's the word that keeps coming to me right now. Okay? So keep that in mind for this entire month. You're called to go within. You're called to be present with yourself, with the situation, with other people. And being present doesn't mean you have to be quiet. It can mean that. It can mean all sorts of different things. It's truly just being in that present now moment, whatever that's going to look like. And it's so interesting when we start to overthink things, we get in our head, what am I going to say next? Are you really truly listening to the other person who you're talking with, having that encounter with? No, because you're thinking about what you're going to say next instead of truly being present to what's being said in that now moment. And even animals, and you've probably seen me post a lot about this on Instagram, on stories. Um, Animals have so much to teach us. They are one of our biggest teachers. And so, are you being present with the animals? Are you being present with your pet that you have? Or are you so on the go that your pet is the afterthought? So, for me personally, February feels like a very blissful energy. It feels like floating on a cloud above all the chaos, truly living my divine purpose. And the the feeling for me for February is that all of my manifestations are happening right now in this present moment. That is when I shift into that two energy, that is what I feel. That also tells you where my energy frequency is. So keep that in mind, because depending on where you have the two energy in your chart, in your personal chart, is going to change the meaning a little bit. So you're still going to have this overall energy. It's just going to shift a little bit about how you're showing up in this energy. And by the way, when I do personal charts, I always say you can choose to take this information in and say, yep, this is who I am. I'm never going to change, and wear it like a badge of honor. Or you can say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And that's where I can help you move through that. And no, you don't have to be that person anymore. So, how can we heal what needs to be healed and move through that? This month also feels like a month of compassion and unconditional love. And compassion is one of the words I brought up for 2025 as a whole. I have noticed how many of those of us who want to say, I tried to tell you, I told you so, and we're not doing that. We can, and we're choosing to have compassion instead, because you're not there yet, right? That other person isn't there yet. And when they are, then I personally will be available to help you down that path and navigate that path when you're ready. So this month really feels like a very compassionate, unconditional love month. You're truly being called to lead your life using your heart instead of your head, using really getting into your body, into your soul, the depths of your soul, instead of overthinking and getting into our heads. And I want to talk about the Chinese New Year, also known as the Lunar New Year. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to get into some of the planetary alignments for February and what this looks like. So, Happy New Year once again. Some people, for them, this is their true New Year. And by the way, some people think will honor March as the New Year, and other people will also honor their birthday as the New Year. I always honor my birthday as the New Year. So anyway, so happy Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year. It is the year of the snake. Now, this signifies the New Year or the Spring Festival in the Chinese culture. And it is a significant cultural celebration marking this lunar solar calendar. Okay. And it always happens on the new moon in Aquarius. Same day. Little information if you are not familiar with Chinese New Year. It literally traces back to about 3,500 years ago in China, and it's the end of the winter for them. And this is truly working with the seasons, working with the energy of the seasons. And there's a lot of importance in the Chinese culture for this time of year. And there's a lot of different traditions and festivities that go on over there. So, the snake, when you look at the energy of the snake and the meaning of a snake, some people will say it's linked to the element of fire. I've also read where this one is linked to the wooden snake. Okay. It is the color red. So the color red is definitely fire. That fire energy, I call it go energy. It definitely signifies passion and transformation. This is a huge transformative year because it's endings, it's letting go. It all goes together, by the way. When you start to understand the energy of the nine and that it's more than just the letting go, and you start to understand this energy of the Chinese New Year and the snake energy, you will start to see a lot of parallels as well. I believe this is why we're going to continue to see a lot of fires this year because of this energy. We already saw one at the beginning of the year. I think it's just going to continue to ramp up with fire. And both fire and water are extremely damaging. They just have a different type of damage or transformation, if you will. Now, depending on the different cultures view animals differently. And in the Chinese culture, snakes are considered to be a symbol of harvest, procreation, spirituality, and good fortune, as well as evil, a threat, and terror. And I will say that for me, I used to have a fear of snakes. I don't any longer. I'm not going to bore you with that story about how I overcame that fear. And I have a whole different viewpoint, perspective, appreciation of a snake. And other people will say that the snake represents wisdom, intuition, transformation. There's that word transformation again. Stealth. By the way, my cat, Bubbles, I laugh all the time. I tell her she is so stealth all the time. All the time. I will be in a room, and let me tell you, if the door is open, she goes in. She does not care. She makes her way in, and half the time I don't even know that she's in there. That is how stealth she is. She will not make a sound. Anyway, for me personally, The snake represents Jesus. So I lean more towards, yes, the transformation, and I lean into the wisdom, the intuition, and the spirituality energy of the snake. The snake sheds its skin. It's that letting go energy again. And, we actually shed our skin too, literally. I forget how many, every so many days, where our cells are renewing itself. And you have new cells every, I wish somebody could let me know, drop me a line and let me know however many days it is. We're doing the same thing. And I find it so fascinating how we are, some of us, a lot of us are so afraid of snakes as well. Yes, are snakes poisonous? Some of them are, not all of them though. So start to notice your narrative, your perspective of the snake, and can you look at it and start to feel into what is the energy though that the snake brings into your life, and especially this year in your life. Okay, so let's talk about the planetary alignments. In the last podcast for the January numerology and energy update, I already talked about the new moon in Aquarius on January 29th. And because it's happening on the Lunar New Year, I want to touch on it in here as well. Because there's a theme that you're going to see running through this whole entire year. And this new moon in Aquarius on January 29th, it is focused on your purpose, your divine purpose, living your creative self, living your creative life, stepping into your creativeness, your beingness. And it's interesting, I had a conversation with a friend earlier today who is going through a rebranding and is afraid to do the rebranding because she's in a 9 personal year and coming up, her birthday is coming up here, and she's also we're in a 9-year collective, so she has the 9 energy twice. And I shared with her, do it. If it is time for rebranding, there's a reason why. Just know when you do the rebrand that it's going to change and look dramatically different down the road from how you rebrand now, and be okay with that. And I chuckle because the Co-Create Your Abundant, Passionate, Purposeful Life journal, the daily journal that I created back in 2019 is when I launched it. It'd been probably a year in the works before I launched it, was actually in a 9 personal year for me. And I'm getting ready to contact the person who designed the inside of it for me to make some more changes. And I'm okay with this because I know that it's inevitable that that piece of work for me that I did is going to continue to transform and morph over time. Why? Because it was launched in 9 energy year. So please keep that in mind. That's why I'm not a fan of a lot of people out there who say, oh, it's going to be a huge year of endings. It is. And a lot of them I see are spreading a lot of fear and sharing fear instead of let's look at it a whole different way. Yeah, endings are going to be great. And that's one question that a lot of people ask me, Carmen, is this change going to be good or bad? A lot of people see the current presidency change as horrific. I see it. I read your comments. It's amazing what people will send to me to read as well. Hey, look at this. What do you think? I think that I look, I know in my heart of hearts that we're all going to be okay. I don't proclaim to know what that is going to look like. And I have a trust in Jesus and a faith, unwavering faith. And that is what I'm leaning into surrendering. And I know what my divine purpose is. And I know that if that desire has been given to me, then that's the path I'm going to take. I'm not going to sit here and focus on these other things that have happened, these other situations that have happened that I cannot change. If I can change it, I focus on it. If I can't change it, I'm not going to focus on it. It's a waste of my energy. And especially this year, think of your energy this year as precious gold. Maybe that's why golden ticket kept coming up earlier. Precious gold. Your energy is precious, precious gold. It's your energy is your quote unquote time. It is precious gold because this year is going to happen rapidly. And by the time you hit June, July, you're going to be like, what just happened? Like, it's going to be so dramatically different from where you started off. And I'm excited about that. So excited about that. So this new moon in Aquarius, I feel like it's a double new beginning, right? You've got the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, you've got the new moon energy. You've got where Venus is right now. A lot of people, you hear that them talking about where Venus is, the planet of Venus is right now, and the others in the universe and how it's aligning with the different planets. Look, it is time for you to have it all. You can and you will. And it's time for you to truly live your divine purpose. And if you are not sure what that is, let's talk. Join me in the Experience Your Awakening online community. Let's get started today. That is all of the programs that I offer lead you to living your purpose intentionally. There's a reason why I've created the journey for you so that they're built upon each other so that at the end you're like, got it. I understand my purpose, my why. And now not only do I understand it, I have the tools to take action to go live this every single day. Now, February 12th is the full moon in Leo. And again, I believe that we were born for a purpose, that we each have a divine purpose. Don't get your vehicle or your job confused with your divine purpose. Keep in mind your job, your career is simply a vehicle for you to live out your purpose every single day. And your purpose is going to shift and change over time as you shift and change over time. And it's going to get louder and louder and bigger, right? It's to the point where this is what you're doing every single day, and you're going to leave that old life behind. And it is, who are you authentically? That's the energy of this full moon in Leo. Who are you authentically? What is that higher calling? What is it? And if you're listening and you're like, yes, I'm frustrated. I feel like I've been running on a hamster wheel, or I feel like a black cloud is following me. And I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels right now. And my life is chaotic and I don't understand why. If you're going out partying a lot, drinking a lot, you're probably having a great time and not really feeling 100% fulfilled. You're doing a lot of work for other people, probably volunteer work for other people, fulfilling their dreams and not fulfilling your own because you're not even sure what they are. That's what the masterclass is all about. Let's get you clear on what it is that your desires are. Once you have clarity on that, then you can literally, the world is your oyster. The world's your oyster now. It's just a matter of where are you focused on. So that full moon in Leo is allowing you to step into who you are authentically, inspiring you to truly go live out your divine purpose, connecting you with I call it your inner divine self, right? Connecting you with your soul. Understand your beingness, your way of being, because your way of being in your true divine purpose versus how you are right now, if that is you and you're just running on that in that chaotic energy, those are two different energy frequencies, very different focuses, really opposite energies, if you want to know the truth. How do I know? Because I've been there. I've lived it. So when you look at the new moon in Pisces, then February 27th, so the end of the month, that this energy, it literally goes back to remember that you are a spiritual being in this quantum universe. You are not separate. You are not separate from God. You're not separate from Jesus. You're not separate from the universe. You have the ability and the power to co-create. And you've heard me talk a lot about this. There's a reason why the journal is called Co-Create Your Abundant, Passionate, Purposeful Life, because you're truly co-creating every single day. And I talk about that both in the mini class or mini masterclass and the masterclass so that you understand how you are co-creating and then take back your power and manifest and create what it is that you really truly desire. It all goes back to this year. What's your impact? You have an impact. Most people think they don't have an impact, and you do have an impact. Everyone has an impact. You impact every single person every single day. Whether you are upset and angry and you take that out on the other person, that is an impact. Or you smile at a stranger, open a door for somebody, give somebody a quarter. You know, at Aldi all the time, people are leaving quarters in the carts. I love Trader Joe's. Well, one, I love the food there. And two, the energy, the people, they have conversations with you. They're not just trying to get you checked out and you don't have to check yourself out. It's truly getting back to conversations face to face with each other, human to human. Okay. Are you starting to see the pattern for February, for these energies of February? And if you think that something is impossible, then it will be. If you think it's possible, then it will be. So again, starting to understand who you are, how are you really showing up? Understand you are that spiritual being living in a quantum universe. And yes, we're here on this 3D earth, and you can also shift and be living what I call floating on a cloud in this quantum universe. You can. It's a choice. You can do it. So let's talk about retrogrades. So I'm looking here at my notes. The Uranus retrograde is going to station direct January 30th. So at the end of January, that was a huge disruptor to disrupt anything that wasn't working. And then the Jupiter retrograde stations direct on February 4th. Again, that was all about expansion. And when people think expansion, they think, oh, expansion means abundance and lots of money. And expansion is expanding the energy that you're in at that particular time. So if you're worried and focused on all the mayhem and focused on, certain events going on in the present now moment, then that is what is going to expand. And then you have the Mars stations direct February 24th. And if I somehow missed one, I'm sure someone will let me know. And I'll also post about it in the Experience Your Awakening community as well. We're going to have a few days after that of a retrograde free world until then. I think Venus goes retrograde. Yeah, Venus goes retrograde March 1st. So keep all of that in mind because all of the energies impact us. If you're curious about retrogrades and how they impact you depending on the planet, join us in the Experience Your Awakening online community. You're feel free to ask those questions in there. I look forward to connecting with you in the Experience Your Awakening online community. I hope that you are enjoying the new podcast series where we feature a business owner at least once a month. They are sharing their why, their purpose. That's what drives business. And a lot of us, we're looking at the authenticity of people, and it's fun to hear their stories. It's fun to hear where they were, where they are now, how they got there. So be sure to check out that series. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Sending you much love.